Kudash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabaoth, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts. Yah, He, Va, He. Those four syllables create the sacred name, which is the Tetragrammaton. The first Yod signifies the Father who art in heaven, Abba, the architect of the universe. He signifies, the first Yod signifies divine masculine. He signifies divine feminine, which is the mother of nature who art in the earth where mankind was created, molded, shaped, and formed. Va, which is the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which correlates with the sixth day of creation when mankind was created, which is the us in the R image. Because in the book of Genesis it says, in the beginning, Bereshith, Elohim, which is plural, which means more than one, said, let us create them in our image. The us in the R. And the last He correlates with the first He, but deals with Anna. Anna is the opposite of Abba, which means mother, wisdom. Wisdom is the spirits of the wind. You learn, you go through some things to know some things. You live and you learn through trial and error, As above, so below. As within, so without. The macro prosophis above, the micro prosophis below. Now let's get into it. We're going to do a two-part series. We're going into the apocalypse of Abraham. The first part starts off as this. Part 1, the legend. Abraham's conversation from adultery. 1. On the day when I planned the gods. See, this is why I always, put it out there and, put emphasis on the Elohim, meaning plural and more than one. This book right here is going to tell you this because it's going to constantly state gods with an S. It's a reason for everything. The English translations. English is the most broken language on the planet. It's a mixture of multiple language. It is not a pure language. So once you translate the words from their original text into the English language, it does not have the same meaning as it does in the original pure language. 1. On the day when I planned the gods of my father, Terah, and the gods of Nahor, his brother, when I was searching as to who the mighty God in truth is, I, Abraham, at the time when I fell to my lot, when I fulfilled the services, the sacrifices of my father, Terah, to his gods of wood and stone, gold and silver, brass and iron, having entered into their temple for service. I found the God whose name was Merunath, which was hewn out of stone, fallen forward at the feet of the iron god Nahum. And it came to pass, when I saw it, my heart was perplexed, and I considered in my mind that I should not be able to bring him back to his place. I, Abraham, alone, because he was heavy, being of large stone, I went forth and made it known to my father, and he entered with me, and when both of us moved him, the God, forward, so that he might bring him back to his place. His head fell from him. Wow. his head fell from him while I was still holding him by the so I gotta go back. Hold on. Let's go back. And it came to pass, when I saw it, my heart was perplexed, and I considered in my mind that I should not be able to bring. Abraham, shout out, y'all. I'm sorry. All right, let me read this straight there. I, Abraham, alone, because he was heavy, being of large stone, I went forth and made it known to my father, and he entered with me. And when both of us moved him, the God forward, so that we might bring him back to his place, his head fell from him while I was still holding him by the head. And it came to pass, when my father saw that the head of Merumath had fallen from him, he said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. He said to me, Bring me an axe of the small ones from the house. I brought it to him, and he hewed aright another Merumath out of another stone without head, and the head which had been thrown down from Merumath he placed upon it, and the rest of Merumath he shattered. 2. And he made 5 other gods, and gave them to me, and commanded me to sell them outside in the street of the town. And I saddled my father's ass, and placed them upon it, and went towards the inn to sell them. And it says, Lo, merchants from Fandana and Syria were traveling with camels going to Egypt to trade, and I spoke with them, and one of their camels uttered a groan, and the ass took fright and sprang away and upset the gods. And 3 of them were smashed, and the 2 were preserved. And it came to pass, when the Syrians saw that I had gods, they said to me, Why didst thou not tell us that thou hast gods? Then we would have bowed to them before the ass heard the sound of the camel, and they would not have been lost. Give us at any rate the gods that remain. We will give thee the proper price for the broken gods, also for the gods that have been preserved. For I was concerned in my heart as to how I could bring to my father the purchase price, and the 3 broken ones I cast into the water of the river Gur, which was at that place, and they sank into the depths, and there was nothing more of them. When I was still going on the way, my heart was perplexed within me, and my mind was distracted. And I said in my heart, What evil deed is this that my father is doing? Is no the rather the God of his gods, since they come into existence through the chisels and laughs, and his wisdom? Is it not rather fitting that they should worship my father, since they are his work? What is this delusion of my father in his works? Behold, Merumath fell and could not rise in his own temple, nor could I by myself move him until my father came and the two of us moved him. And as we were thus too weak, his head fell from him, and he, my father, set it upon another stone of another god, which he had made without head. And the other 5 gods were broken into pieces down from the ass, which were able neither to help themselves nor to hurt the ass, because it had broken them to pieces. Nor did their broken fragments come up out of the river. And I said in my heart, if this be so, how can Merumath, my father's god, having the head of another stone, and himself being made of another stone, rescue a man or hear a man's prayer and reward him? And while I cogitated thus, I reached my father's house, and having watered the ass and set out hay for it, I brought the silver and gave it into the hand of my father Terah. When he saw it, he was glad, and he said, Blessed art thou, Abraham, of my gods, because thou hast brought the price of the gods, so that my work was not in vain. And I answered and said to him, Hear, O my father Terah, blessed are the gods of thee, for thou art their God, since thou hast made them. For their blessing is ruination, and their power is vain. They who did not help themselves, how shall they then help thee or bless me? I have been kind to thee in this affair, because by using my intelligence I have brought thee the money for the broken gods. And when he heard my words, he became furiously angry with me, because I had spoken hard words against his gods. I, however, having thought over my father's anger, went out, and after I had gone out, my father cried, saying, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Take and collect the splinters of the wood out of which I made gods of pine wood before the camest, and make ready for me the food of the midday meal. And it came to pass, when I collected the splinters of the wood, I found under them a little god, which had been lying amongst the brush woods on my left, and on his forehead was written, God Barisat, Barisat. And it came to pass, when I had laid the splinters in the fire, in order that I might make ready food for my father, on going out to ask a question regarding the food, I placed Barisat before the kindled fire, saying threateningly to him, Pay careful attention, Barisat, that the fire do not die down until I come. If, however, it dies down, blow on it that it may burn up again. And I went out and accomplished my purpose. And on the returning I found Barisat fallen backwards, and his feet surrounded by fire and horribly burnt. I burst into a fit of laughter. Abraham is shot out. I burst into a fit of laughter. So he was bidding off his father, grinding him up. Cause like, yo, he like, Dad, you don't make no sense. You following these traditions. That's how Abraham was able to obtain and find the real true God, and he was able to be blessed because he questioned everything. You know, he ain't just run with anything and say that's it. He's like, this ain't adding up, Dad. Like, you my father and all, I love you and all, I'll do what you say, but like, come on now, Dad, you shot out, bro. That's what Abraham crazy. He said, I burnt, and he said, I burst into a fit of laughter. And I said to myself, truly, oh, Barisat, thou canst kindle the fire and cook food. It came to pass while I spake thus in my laughter, he, Barisat, was gradually burnt up by the fire and reduced to ashes. And I brought the food to my father, and he did eat. Dang, Abraham's father was something else. And he did eat. And I gave him wine and milk, and he was gladdened and blessed his God, Meruth. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. It's Merumath. Let's sound that out. Merumath. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. And I said to him, O Father, Terah, bless not the God Merumath, and praise him not, but rather praise the God Barisat, because loving thee more, he hath cast himself into the fire to cook thy food. Yo, Abraham is a piece of work. And he said to me, and he said to me, where is he now? And I said, he is burnt to ashes in the violence of the fire, and is reduced to dust. And he said, great is the power. He said, great is the power of Barisat. I will make another today. I will make another today, and tomorrow he will prepare my food. Yeah. When I, Abraham, however, heard such words from my father, I laughed in my mind and sighed in the grief and in the anger of my soul, and said, how then can that which is made by him manufactured statues be a helper of my father? Or shall the body then be subject to its soul, and the soul to the spirit, and the spirit to folly and ignorance? And I said, it is fitting once to endure evil. So I will direct my mind to what is pure, and lay my thoughts open before him. And I answered and said, O Father, Terah, whichever of these thou praisest as a god, thou art foolish in thy mind. Behold, the gods of thy brother Orah, which stand in the holy temple, are more worthy of honor than these of thine. For behold, Zutchis, the god of thy brother Oran, is more worthy of honor than thy god Merumath, because he is made of gold, which is highly valued by people. And when he groweth old in years, he will be remodeled. But if your god Merumath is changed or broken, he will not be renewed, because he is a stone. The which is also the case with the god Joavan, who standeth with Zutchuis over the other gods. How much more worthy of honor is he than the god Barisat, who is made of wood, while he is forged of silver? How is he made by adaptation of man, valuable to outward appearance? But thy God Barisat, while he was still before he had been prepared, rooted up upon the earth, and was great and wonderful, with the glory of branches and blossom, and didst hew out with the axe. And by means of thy art he hath been made, into a god, and lo, his fatness is already withered and perished. He is fallen from the height to the ground. He hath come from great estate to littleness, and the appearance of his countenance hath vanished, and he, Barasat, himself is burnt up by the fire and reduced to ashes, and is no more. And thou sayest, today I will make another, which tomorrow shall make ready my food. He hath perished to utter destruction. Behold, the fire is more worthy of honor than all things formed, because even that which is not subjected is subjected unto it, and things easily perishable are mocked by its flames. But even more worthy of honor is the water, because it conquereth the fire and satisfieth the earth. But even it I do not call God, because it is subjected to the earth, under which the water inclineth. But I call the earth much more worthy of honor, because it overpowereth the nature and the fullness of the water. Even the earth, however, I do not call God, because it too is dried up by the sun. Then see, Abraham questioned everything, but he making it make sense. He said, even it, the earth, however, I do not call God, because it too is dried up by the sun. Evaporation. However, I do not call God, because it too is dried up by the sun, and hath appropriation to man to be tilled. I call the sun more worthy of honor than the earth, because it with its rays illuminateth the whole world and the different atmospheres. But even it I do not call God, because at night by clouds its course is obscured. Nor again do I call the moon or the stars God, because they also in their season obscure their light at night. But hear this, Terah, my father, for I will make known to thee the God who hath made everything, not these which we consider as gods. Who then is he, or what is he, who hath crimsoned the heavens, and made the sun golden, and the moon lustrous, and with it the stars, and hath made the earth dry in the midst of many waters, and set thee in, and tested me in the confusion of my thoughts. Yet may God reveal himself to us through himself. And it came to pass, while I spake thus to my father Terah in the court of my house, there cometh down the voice of a mighty one from heaven, in a fiery cloud burst, saying and crying, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Thou art seeking in the understanding of thine heart the God of gods and the Creator. I am he. Go out from thy father Terah, and get thee out from the house, that thou also be not slain in the sins of thy father's house. And I went out, and it came to pass when I went out, that before I succeeded in getting out in front of the door of the court, there came a sound of a great thunder, and burnt him in his house and everything whatsoever in his house down to the ground 40 cubits. That's deep. So basically, God killed Abraham's father in front of him for worshiping idols that didn't make sense. But being that he questioned everything and he wanted to seek God out with his whole heart and what made sense, He even questioned the sun, the water, the air, everything. And he basically saying one is the counterbalance to the other, and one has no dominion over the other because, one subdues the other. But he said, basically, being at his curiosity, and he saw and he questioned, and he didn't just, submit to the first thing that was presented to him as his father was doing. Basically meaning he had prudence. Now, I learned the word prudence from Bob Marley. Bob Marley always said prudence he always said prudence in his songs. He never said what it meant, but I looked it up after time from listening to Bob Marley for so long. And prudence means good judgment and common sense. Good judgment and common sense. Prudence, good judgment and common sense. If you want to really find God and you want God to come to you, have good judgment and common sense. That's to show you that everything is about your intent, your intentions. Everything revolves around duality, good and bad, but you create the balance and the equilibrium. And by your intentions is what you draw more to yourself, whether it be positive or negative charges, So watch your intentions, because you can reflect your intentions on other people and they can have an effect, because everybody is not prudent, if you know what I mean. They don't have good judgment and common sense. They just go with the majority, but the elect are the minority. That's why the Bible tells you the path is narrow, it's not wide. Because the wide path is the bigger path. That's what the many are following. Many are called, few are chosen. Because the path is narrow, it's not wide. The prudence, the good judgment, and the common sense. The reflections of intent. Salah, so be it. We're coming with part 2. Part 2 is a lot longer, It's over here, but let's even get into when Abraham fasted, and he went up into heaven, show you the different realms and stages of heaven, because he went into that hallucinative state, tell you about what he was able to see what happened in the Garden of Eden, how everybody was saying it was an apple, the fruit of the tree. It really wasn't. There was really a grapevine. That's why all these wines and stuff in the stores that say forbidden fruit on it. And it tell you that it wasn't a snake in the garden as well, neither. It tell you that it stood like a humanoid with a reptilian face, like the face of a snake, but had 6 wings. It had 3 wings on each side, stood up like a man, but had the resemblance of a reptile. So, if you watch TikToks nowadays, you're not too far-fetched of what a draconian reptilian is, right? But it describes it to a T in this book. So, we on to something. But I'm out. Deuces. Hallelujah. Bless those that watch this video. Watch with discernment. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading. But I put it out there because that's how I get my blessings. I receive the information with the purpose of sharing with others and not for self alone. So long as I put it out there, I plant the seed. I know everybody is not going to get it. Many are called, few are chosen. But somebody is going to grasp that seed and they're going to blossom out of them, and it's going to spark excitement and curiosity. The brain is a powerful thing. You know why? Because this pineal gland, this third eye, this crystals, that little dot in there, the universe is inside of you. That's why God is eternal, and it's going to spark everything. Deuces.